Lord Magog.
What is it, Commander Fives?
Word from the front, sir. Admiral Kevin McFree has defeated the Watchtower legal defense over Dubtown. Jehovah is powerless against his parodies.
Prepare my ship, Commander. We will congratulate Admiral McFree personally. We would be honored if you would join us. Hello, my ex-JW agents, and welcome back to the Darth Magog channel. I'm your host, the Dark Lord of the Apostates, Darth Magog. And today we celebrate one of our greatest heroes in the fight against Watchtower, its abusive practices, and its frivolous litigation. I'm referring to the one, the only, Kevin McFree, Dark Lord of the Dubtown system. For those of you who don't know, Kevin McFree is the actor, animator, writer, and activist behind the internet series known as Dubtown, a stop-motion series set in Lego that highlights and parodies the Jehovah's Witness doctrine and culture. For the last 3 years, he's been struggling against the Watchtower's army of lawyers who have attempted to silence and punish him for accurate and perfectly constitutional critiques through a series of false copyright strikes. And just last week, the Watchtower has surrendered litigation, dismissing the case and leaving Kevin McFree, well, free of Watchtower harassment. So to celebrate, I've watched and ranked all of my favorite and most relatable Dubtown episodes and other Kevin McFree videos. These aren't necessarily in order of quality, as all of them have been pretty much top-notch and just got better over time. Rather, my focus was on which videos resonated with me the most. So, without further ado, prepare for my arrival and these videos. These are the best Dubtown episodes so far. Cart witnessing was something new to me when I first heard of it. From what I understand, it's an offshoot of street witnessing, which is something we used to do back in my day. What differs is that, evidently, you're expected to stand around all day and just wait for honest-hearted ones to show up. Seems like a good way to count time for introverts on paper. In practice, it just seems like a way for people who do their research to break down your arguments before you make them, as demonstrated here in Kevin's video. Here he parodies a live streamer breaking down witness theology in their flailing attempts to stop him.
Y'all's leaders don't teach Christ is your mediator, only the 144,000. Are you recording this?
Eventually, the witness team runs away, akin to many other cart crashes that happen on YouTube. This video really brought me in and demonstrated how much the religion has changed, especially in the fact that theology and Bible scholarship are now secondary to just pushing the website. Logging this episode into the 10th spot on this list. This was always something I thought was silly. Witchcraft and demonic possession seemed like a silly, false religious thing to me growing up, or like something that happened in biblical times. What a surprise it was to me when, in my youth, I discovered that not only do Jehovah's Witnesses believe in demonic tampering with affairs of mankind, but also conduct exorcisms of sorts. This episode highlights classic JW paranoia around demonized things.
Well, it's like I told you last night. It all happened since I bought this second-hand lamp.
Buying second-hand is very dangerous. Unless it's a car. Second-hand cars are okay. Yes, cars are exempt. In the new operating manual for demons, cars are off-limits.
The episode really hit close to home, as I personally was a huge Pokemon and Harry Potter fan in the early 2000s, and as a result, lost a lot of my social circle from those things being banned in my household, even though nothing had harmed us and nothing had changed. It's a 2-part episode, and I feel as though it works best back to back, providing more than enough content for the number 9 spot. This episode is hilarious and works on so many levels. So, Women Know Your Limits really highlights the general silliness, inefficiency, and gross misogyny of the patriarchal system of Jehovah's Witnesses. It centers around a group of women, you know, the gender that makes up 65% of the witnesses. Well, they were planning on going out in service as adult women, but technically aren't allowed to lead a group. So instead, they fumble through guiding a freshly baptized 8-year-old boy through the process.
Where would you like us to start, young Timmy?
We should all stick together down this side of the road.
Oh, okay, Timmy. As you wish. We are, of course, ready to obey theocratic order.
As a person who was a teenage ministerial servant, this really hits home. Being in charge of people with decades of experiences, mortgages, careers, and jobs is a weird male power trip that made me very uncomfortable. I admit I enjoyed the attention and leading in that regard, but there is no galaxy where someone's chromosomes make them more fit to lead. As Captain Rex once said,
"In my book, experience outranks everything."
Drawing us to our 8th entry. The Naked Truth is one hilarious episode based on a potentially dubious JW news report. We'll be taking it all at face value here, but it's a news report that outlined the crime of a group of naked Jehovah's Witnesses kidnapping their neighbor and running into the police.
Oh no! It's Gog of Magog!
Oh no, they saw me. Anyway, this comments on the ever-present mentality that Armageddon is just around the corner, forcing all active, practicing Jehovah's Witnesses into a heightened state of awareness or hypervigilance. According to medical dictionaries, hypervigilance is the elevated state of constantly assessing potential threats around you, and is often the result of trauma. This is certainly something that I struggled with in the religion even as a child. Preparing daily to call on the name of Jehovah aloud, imagining a situation where asteroids are screaming from the sky on unsuspecting foolish populaces, culminating sometimes in an irrational anger when rejected at the door for spreading this message of gloom and doom, as a 7-year-old who took it upon himself to try and save as many lives as he could. This episode is a bit more humorous, but when taken in context it can be mortifying. Luckily, 7 isn't something that we have to experience ourselves outside of our list. Watchtower policy and doctrine is a hot topic in the XJW community, and is often the source of much confusion. What with contradicting literature, scripture, and even instruction from the platform, Report Your Ministry to Men is a prime example of why Jehovah's Witnesses may have sworn their service to an organization of men rather than one of God. The concept of counting time, how it's counted, and the requirement for reporting is scrutinized heavily.
But how will Jehovah know that the good news has been preached? So the end can come if he doesn't have our reports. Even if that's true, there's no need for anyone to put their name on it and have a publisher record card. They just use it to control and to measure spirituality.
I've always wondered about this myself, why we needed to report publicly how many hours we had in service, when all other payments to Jehovah were made in secret. Demanding humility and having a requirement for hours just seems like an artificial way for men to figure out how pious we were, since apparently Jehovah's ability to read hearts wasn't a factor in the field ministry. Well worth watching, tipping the scales at 6. All of these episodes hit home, but oh, this one takes the cake, and probably ate it too. Like our main character Chad in this episode, I too had family members that weren't in the Jehovah's Witness religion. But because they were our blood family, the religion didn't specifically discourage relationships with them. And often we found ourselves on the outside looking in on celebrations like Halloween and Christmas. Something often celebrated and much lauded, but forbidden to us.
Oh, lovely. Ah, no! It's the works of the devil, transformed into an angel of light. Come on, boy, we have to go.
The episode hits 2 major factors, the strange prohibition on holidays in the heavily scrutinized world of JW dating. While wanting to spend time with your family and occasionally an age-appropriate romantic interest are pretty standard things in the world as a whole, both are serious violations in JW culture. My favorite part of this episode is the fact that it doesn't focus on the societal consequences for wanting these natural things, but highlights what we've been missing out on as witnesses and what we can look forward to outside of the organization. A fifth gift, as it were, for our best episodes. Okay, this video isn't exactly like the normal one. It's a Dubtown news episode, where Kevin is a bit more analytical of the presentation and propaganda and doesn't really parody it quite as hard. Though there are plenty of jokes that he slips in to keep his presentations lighthearted.
It's not a new thing for artists to hide things within their art. A famous example would be Michelangelo, who painted the Sistine Chapel.
This specific episode features the art of the Watchtower artists and how they sneak in weird things that shouldn't really be in their magazines or presentations. The best part is when he breaks down a shot from the child-targeted Caleb and Sophia episode about lying. There he explains framing, the rule of thirds, and a couple of other technical aspects of photography and videography, and how Watchtower uses them to make certain messages more poignant. It's a clever episode and highly recommended if you've got 8 minutes to spare. Well worth our number 4 slot. Rounding out the top 3 is a somewhat more solemn and direct episode. Planning for the future like the governing body is about one of our recurring characters, Chad, and his potential happy ending of getting away from the Watchtower and going to university with his girlfriend Jessica from the Christmas episode. Here, the hypocrisy is presented in the form of Bethelites being assigned to law school to work in the legal department, while normal witnesses are discouraged from pursuing higher education. This video takes a jab at the hatred of critical thinking, the jealousy of Jehovah, and the endless waiting for the new system that the rank-and-file witnesses suffer through.
Now we invite Brother Tumblyboo to the platform to handle the item on higher education with the theme, Jehovah wants you just smart enough to do the work, but not smart enough to ask why.
The climax focuses on Chad talking to another Jehovah's Witness publisher that, unlike most witnesses, actually offers some quality advice for the young witness.
Wonderful idea. I didn't go to college. I was a window washer, man and boy, like your father. It was fine while I was young, but my knees are shot from going up and down ladders.
I bet you never thought you'd be retired in this old system.
No, me and Beryl were waiting for the paradise to start a family. We are still waiting.
Ultimately, Chad and Jess realize that apparently, though Armageddon is around the corner, it's not so close that the Watchtower has stopped long-term plans. And really, they shouldn't either. Bronze medal to this episode. The runner-up episode is the Does It Bloody Matter two-parter. A few other episodes do dip into the pool of blood on Watchtower's hands, but none are as well executed as this one. Here, the blood card, blood prohibition, and consequences of blood are explained. Kevin goes into the faulty logic of why blood fractions, which are made of donated blood, are appropriate when by the same logic they shouldn't even exist. He goes in on the importance of symbolism to man over the importance of life to Jehovah.
Have you at least told the doctors that you is a Jehovah's Witness?
I've just arrived. I've been told to wait here for news.
Well, if they give her blood, the elders will need to decide whether you were blood guilty.
Ultimately, our heroes for this episode are given blood despite the hospital liaison committee's interference and are luckily saved. Unfortunately, this also opens them up to ridicule from their so-called brothers in the organization, who are much less concerned about the spirit of the law and place the full importance on their entrenched dogma, leading to 2 more free minds, even if they are made of Legos. A happy ending for all involved, and a well-deserved second place. And the final episode on my list is The Prodigal Daughter Reinstatement. This one is pretty intense, based not only on the prodigal son story in the gospel, but also the account of a real Jehovah's Witness judicial committee. Here, Heidi is kind enough to offer her judicial meeting for review.
Can you just explain why you want to be reinstated? Why you wrote your letter now?
Well, I've been in the truth all my life, so I know that a certain amount of time has to go by to prove that you are trying and going to meetings. So I knew that that's what was expected of me. But my dad said, average is about 6 months.
It gets pretty emotional towards the end. Here's just a little bit of that.
I wouldn't say that's necessary family business.
Just, if you show me a scripture that says they can't help me with, like, when I'm struggling with Hayden on my own, then I will understand, but I do not understand that.
Watch the whole thing for yourself. The episode is so well done. I laughed at the hypocrisy and the jealousy of the brothers, while at the same time shuddering at the bone-crushing pressure of their pettiness. The most painful part is that forgiveness is measured quantitatively, a sign that this organization is of men and not one of God. It's an outstanding episode, well-balanced, and presented in a really great format, and that's why The Prodigal Daughter Reinstatement, in my personal opinion, is the best Dubtown video of all time. Special shoutouts to Mr. Kevin McFree, the creator of Dubtown. Congratulations on your victory over the Watchtower's legal team. It's been a long 3 years, but your hard work will save several who are struggling to wake up. And you've paved the way for more of us to make more content to reach the heart of the real honest-hearted ones. For that, Admiral, we salute you. If you enjoyed today's video essay and found it informative, I'd appreciate a like. And it would be an honor if you would join us as a subscriber if you value future videos. Are you a fan of Kevin McFree? Do you think he should bring back Dubtown? Whatever your thoughts may be, I'd love to hear them in the comments down below. Until next time, my XJW agents, Darth Magog is watching The Watchtower.
Thank you.